Action for a now deceased inmate.
Restaurant owners across the country are afraid their businesses will not survive the pandemic. I'm Danya Backus with a look at what they're hoping you can do to help.
And a former gang member is named Missouri's Teacher of the Year. We share his story.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Authorities find evidence in a deceased suspect's home that links him to a 4th armed robbery. This is KOAM News at noon. I'm Tanya Bach. Topping our first 7 minutes, the Cherokee County Sheriff says the investigation into the December 2nd armed robbery at the Quick Shop in Weir, Kansas is now closed. Sheriff Grove says while Pittsburgh officers were searching the home of 46-year-old William Haddon, they discovered evidence that connected him to the Weir robbery. 2 armed robberies at a Pittsburgh convenience stores in December and an armed robbery at the Community Health Center of Southeast Kansas on November 21st. This is surveillance video from the health center. Officers arrested Haddon Saturday night. However, jailers found him unresponsive in his Crawford County jail cell Monday morning. KBI is now investigating Haddon's death. City of Nevada investigates a building collapse on the town square. It happened on the corner of Cherry and Cedar Tuesday evening shortly after 5. No one was inside at the time and there were no injuries. Nevada fire crews worked late overnight to bring the building down to a safe height so it would not pose a danger to nearby structures. Your morning commute may have been a white one for some. Michael Hayslip joins us with a first look at the forecast.
And for those of you with snow in the yard, not going anywhere for today. Kind of lucked out though at the Freeman Health System Sky Camera in Joplin. Not a whole lot of snow we see on the ground there at campus, but here's why anything that we do have is not going to melt anytime soon. Only 30 degrees, feeling like 22. Let's go 31 in Independence, 28 in Nevada, and 32 in Neosho. Starting to wait for the break in the clouds, and I think we will get a little bit of sunshine, not a whole lot, but a little bit, right before we hit sunset at 5:02. Coming up here in just a little bit, we'll kind of break down this mess that you've heard about out for the mid-Atlantic and northeastern section of the United States. And believe it or not, look at that mess. That's actually part of what rolled through us yesterday. We kind of got lucky with that. Wind is shifting, eventually going to push in from the west right here. The nice part is that we're not going to have those 20-mile-an-hour gusts for the next couple of days. We'll kind of hold the wind at bay until we get to Friday. Now, chilly this afternoon and back to the freezing cold for tonight/tomorrow morning as the clouds begin to break up, but we plummet back down into the 20s. As we get into Thursday afternoon, though, here comes the serious melt as we'll see high 40s, even some low 50s on there, and then speed on up into the mid 50s for Friday and Saturday. Now, here's the thing, Tanya. What we're talking about for rain on that Friday panel, don't worry, it's going to be nighttime into Saturday morning, and here's the other key factor. Look at the temperatures, well above freezing. Don't have to worry about any of it flipping over. So coming up here in just a little bit, we'll talk about our Friday rain and also describe how that mess that they have out in the Northeast is actually part of the same snow system we saw.
Yeah, good thing we're not getting as much as they're expecting to.
Yeah, because like you said this morning, they're not talking about inches. They're talking about feet.
Yeah, that's scary. All right, thanks, Michael. Well, hundreds more hospitals around the country are delivering Pfizer's COVID-19 shots to their frontline workers. The Food and Drug Administration now says its preliminary analysis confirms the effectiveness and safety of a second COVID vaccine. A panel of outside experts is expected to vote to recommend the formula developed by Moderna tomorrow, with the FDA's green light expected soon after. With the coronavirus surging across the country, cities and states have imposed new restrictions on businesses and restaurants to help slow the spread. But many restaurant owners fear they will not survive. CBS's Danya Backus spoke to those who say they need help during the holidays.
So, did you sell any lobster tails?
When we first met Tony Stafford back in March,
2? How many more do you have left?
coronavirus restrictions forced his Ford's Fish Shack restaurants in Virginia to just takeout, and he had furloughed more than 100 employees. With the coronavirus still raging 9 months later,
every day you fight that mental battle with yourself. Am I doing the right thing? Am I going to beat this?
Tony received a PPP loan and brought back most of his employees, but he's still not allowed to operate at full capacity.
Do you think your restaurant will be able to survive?
Our backs are against the wall, but we're going to fight every day to keep these restaurants going, because I've got great employees and I don't want to lose a single one of them to a layoff or to a forced closure.
The Independent Restaurant Coalition says 500,000 independent restaurants and 11 million jobs could be lost because of the pandemic. It's now pushing Congress to pass the Restaurants Act, a $120 billion fund geared toward assisting small restaurants and bars.
It's been challenging.
Patty Rockenwagner's Dear John's restaurant in Los Angeles sits empty. Indoor and outdoor dining are not allowed during what she says is the most lucrative season for restaurants. She's asking patrons to help.
There's a letter to sign that asks Congress to please act on this bill, because for every day that this relief is not provided, it's another restaurant that's closing, a bar that's closing, jobs that are going away forever, and dreams that are dashed.
And Tony is asking for help too, encouraging people to continue to support restaurants by buying gift cards or stopping in for dine-in or takeout. Danya Backus, CBS News, Los Angeles.
That's a look at today's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Up next on KOAM News at noon, Missouri's Teacher of the Year says he joined a gang before he turned 10. How he turned his life around and is striving to help his students do the same. And later, we're making Grandma Irma's red cabbage in the Mr. Food Test kitchen. With distance learning separating so many students from their teachers, one candidate for National Teacher of the Year worries that some may fall through the cracks because it almost happened to him. Missouri PE teacher Darion Cockrell says educators saved his life, and that inspired him to help a new generation of students build up their bodies and minds. Errol Barnett shows us his against the odds journey to success.
3, 2, 1. It's easy to see why Mr. DC, as his students call him, he gone, was named Missouri's Teacher of the Year. Who was the most popular teacher in school?
Mr. DC.
But some students at Crestwood Elementary School near St. Louis were surprised to learn recently Mr. DC used to go by a much different name.
6 Deuce 87 Kitchen Crip Gangster. Yep. Your 2021 Missouri Teacher of the Year used to be in a gang.
A gang he joined at just 9 years old in this North St. Louis neighborhood that's 15 minutes and what seems like a world away from the suburban school where he teaches today.
I felt like I was born just to fail. Like, my mother was a drug addict, my father was murdered when I was 4 years old.
Cockrell felt destined for that fate or jail.
This is actually where my little brother was murdered.
Early on, Cockrell's grandmother swooped in to save him.
Man, I feel sorry for my grandmother because she had to put up with so much. We didn't have Mr. DC's who can help us and support us and get us through those tough times, and she did everything by herself. Sorry.
Eventually, school and sports became his refuge. In 8th grade, he was adopted by his football coach.
No, I am not Michael Orr from The Blind Side, although I did have dreams of the NFL.
But he was more inspired by educators, so Cockrell became a teacher, landing here at Crestwood Elementary School. How did you get to Crestwood?
I took a cab.
That laugh makes the fun infectious in his classes.
Whenever you're sad, he cheers you up.
How can a teacher tell when students are sad?
I have no idea. It's a magical power.
He teaches us how to stay healthy and have fun at the same time.
Something Cockrell shares online in workout videos with his 3-year-old son, Dawson. Now Cockrell's competing to be National Teacher of the Year.
Okay, so perfect.
He's only been an educator for under a decade, but in reality, Mr. DC brings a lifetime of experience.
I've seen so many bad things, and I'm just so happy that I'm alive, that I have a job that I love. So if people are tired of me laughing, being positive, and giggling all the time, they're just gonna have to get used to it.
Errol Barnett, CBS News.
Well, still to come on the KOAM News at noon, Mr. Food.
Grab your slow cooker and join us as we recreate Grandma Irma's classic recipe. Once you try it, you'll understand why we go gaga over it.
But first, Michael Hayslip returns with your complete forecast.
Hope your Wednesday morning and afternoon has been delightful so far, as we're still holding on to some snow right across the highway there outside of Television City. Our campus, on the other hand, look at that. We're just going to frolic out there. We're going to have a good time in the cold. That's the neighbor's dog. He's a wonderful dog. He likes to come visit us here when we're outside. Our temperatures right now, and an idea why the snow's not going anywhere, right at, if not below, the 32-degree mark, only 26 in Girard, 30 in Carthage. And Miami chimes in at 32. Now, whenever I think about, hey, it's really chilly outside, I always like to bust open the weather almanac because the all-time low for December 16th is 7 below zero, dating back to 1989. Now, we do have some pretty good wind chills in effect, and these are going to be pretty constant throughout the course of the afternoon. Not a whole lot of movement in that, even when the sun does try to peek out. The thing about it is we've got to wait for everything out to the west start to move our way, the clear skies. We've gotten a break and a peak of it every now and then, but it certainly hasn't been consistent. Interestingly enough, we talk about that storm out in the northeast. Well, same one that rolled through us, essentially. You'll notice, though, we got a little bit of a break here. About Wednesday night, right as the central portion, as it pushed off to the east, our accumulation numbers anywhere from about 10th to a quarter. We'll get into that in just a second. But then look, that thing just popped up. As soon as it made its way over the Mississippi, took a little northeasterly track, and that's why they've got a mess on their hands stretching all the way from Georgia, and eventually that thing's going to end up in Maine. The precipitation in some form or fashion, whether it be the rain, the snow, or the ice, at one point this morning went from the Gulf of Mexico all the way up to the Great Lakes. The white you see, those are winter storm warnings that they have. While we were talking about the quarter to half an inch that we got, Oklahoma City, they got 3 to 5 inches. Well, they're talking about several feet up in the northeastern section. This gives you an idea. That light blue right there, that's going to be 10th to half. We did get a report of an inch out in Chautauqua County. That's one right there. And then that storm report, that's about 1/8 of an inch that was in Elk County. Certainly did have more fall down there. And like I said, you see that dark blue, that's that 3 to 5 that they got near OKC. Nationally speaking, while we talked about this storm, you'll notice nothing on the backside of this, and also a ridge beginning to form out west. That's a good indicator of some warmer temperatures, which is going to get rid of our snow, probably really, by tomorrow afternoon as far as what's still around. Do think we get a little bit additional peak of sunshine there. Sunset at 5:02, so we are kind of running out of time here. And then prepare for another cold overnight. But like I said, Thursday we're talking mid to high 40s. We even throw a 50 in there, so bye-bye to the snow. And then on Friday, even a little bit warmer, as we'll be more consistent with our mid-50s. Now, Friday night, that's when we'll begin to see the development. It really shouldn't bother any of your Friday plans. And here's the really nice thing about what we're going to see on Friday, even though it's going to be night into Saturday morning. Right now, looks like we're just keeping this solely as rain. So while that's kind of our next event, watch the right-hand side of your screen. And just in time for people trying to get holiday deliveries, that thing's going to be a little bit of a pummeler. 7-day forecast, Tanya. You'll notice the icon there on the top of Monday. Don't forget that is the winter solstice, September 21st. Also the conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn that we've been talking about. While it's going to be cool, hopefully we can clear out the cloud cover and enjoy a marvelous first day and night of winter.
All right, yeah. I'm looking for those temperatures to go back up. That will be lovely.
Conjunction's close enough tonight that if you can get some clearing skies out, you're going to get a great shot of it. Just make sure you bundle up because it's going to be frigid.
For sure. All right, thanks, Michael. We take this time to honor today's four-state hero, Private First Class Louise Blevins in the U.S. Army. The Parsons, Kansas native served stateside during World War II, stationed in both New York and New Jersey as a warehouse clerk. To Private Louise Blevins, we thank you, our four-state hero. Today's recipe packs a flavorful and crunchy punch. It's a taste bud pleasing side dish that cooks up easily in your slow cooker. Howard shows us Grandma Irma's red cabbage in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
Nothing excites me more than when I have the opportunity to recreate a recipe that has been in someone's family for ages. You know, the kind of recipe that brings back all sorts of memories when you taste it. Well, today, I want to thank Jody, who's part of our team, for sharing her grandmother Irma's recipe with us. It's an old world red cabbage that goes with almost everything. The first thing we do is dig out our slow cooker. Into that, we add a head of red cabbage that we've shredded, along with a couple of Granny Smith apples that we've peeled and sliced. On top of this goes some pats of butter, a splash of apple cider vinegar, a bay leaf, some brown sugar, and a bit of salt and pepper, along with some ground cloves. Now we cover it and set it on low so it can do its own thing. Once it's done, don't forget to remove the bay leaf. Come dinner time, it's ready to serve. This goes with everything from braised beef to roast chicken. And yup, you can serve it steaming hot or chilled if you prefer. To get the recipe for Grandma Irma's red cabbage, simply visit our website. You'll be glad you did. I'm Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we recreated Grandma Irma's classic way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
It's got some good stuff in it. You can find this recipe along with a lot more good food from the Mr. Food Test Kitchen online. Just go to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Here's a look at our 4 state market prices. Because of the pandemic, many kids will not get the chance to sit on Santa's lap to tell him what they want for Christmas. So we're giving 4 state kids the chance to send those lists directly to Santa himself. With the help of mom or dad, kids can fill out a form on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com/North Pole. And starting tomorrow during the 6 o'clock hour of the KOAM Morning News, the big man in red will read the list of the good little boys and girls right here in the 4 states.
Going to be a cold one, feeling like the taste of the North Pole this afternoon into tonight because our temperatures are going to drop below freezing. Then we can finally melt off what snow we have left by the time we get into Thursday because we'll throw some 50s up there on consecutive days to end the work week.
Well, coming up tonight at 5, the East Coast gears up for the first winter storm of the season, and it could be a major wallop from Indiana to New England. Some areas expect up to 2 feet of snow, along with freezing rain and blustery winds. We'll have the latest. Plus, snow days may be a thing of the past in one local school district. We'll hear how the McDonald County School District is keeping students engaged even when the weather takes a turn. And employees at Mercy Joplin were among the first to receive the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine. We'll talk with one staffer who got the shot and what you can expect once the vaccine is more widely available. Join us for those stories and more.
All right, Tanya and I will see you again tomorrow morning.
The rest of the team right back here at 5 o'clock.